A samurai's hands trembled as he prepared to commit seppuku. He picked up a bamboo sword and forcefully thrust it into his abdomen, only to discover in horror that the blade was too dull to penetrate cleanly. Yet, to preserve the dignity of the Bushido code, he gritted his teeth against the pain and stabbed frantically at his belly, even pressing the hilt against the ground. He couldn't manage to complete the ritual with the bamboo sword. Helpless, he looked toward the executioner and pleaded for a swift end, but the executioner immediately shook his head, signaling that the samurai must perform seppuku by his own hand. Overcome with despair, the samurai tried using his body weight to force the bamboo sword deeper into his flesh. However, unable to withstand such force, the bamboo blade snapped in half. Despite this, the onlookers made no attempt to stop the proceedings. Here's the truth behind this tragedy. After the age of war came to an end, samurai had gradually lost their purpose. Those unwilling to abandon their status struggled to survive, and many couldn't even afford to eat. In desperation, they traveled to the estates of local officials to commit seppuku and end their lives. However, the officials recognized that these samurai had contributed to restoring peace during the conflicts. They couldn't bear to watch them die before their eyes, so they allowed the samurai to work odd jobs around the estate to survive. Because the Kurosawa Omit family had risen to prominence through military achievement, samurai continued to arrive at their doorstep in an endless stream. Over time, however, supporting so many wandering samurai became financially unbearable. Left with no choice, the family heeded the advice of other members and decided to make an example of the next samurai who came seeking death. Soon, Jack arrived at the Kurosawa estate with the determination to die. The Kurosawa family, however, was accustomed to hearing such requests for seppuku. They instructed their servants to offer Jack cakes to fill his stomach. Thrilled, Jack assumed the Kurosawa family intended to accept him as a member of their household. In the next instant, he was horrified to discover that the clothes brought for him were a dead man's white garments. Jack's face went blank with shock and confusion. It turned out that someone had already discovered his sword was made of bamboo. For this fake samurai, this fraudster trying to infiltrate the estate and live off their generosity, making him an example, was perfect. They gave him no chance to explain and forced him to perform seppuku. Jack exerted every ounce of strength he possessed, but he couldn't complete the ritual with a bamboo sword.